Welcome back. As we earlier said, we're going to also embark over the very popular Russian tourism in Egypt. Of course, Russian tourism in Egypt has been one of the favorite and has been on for years. The Russian, they prefer Egypt as a touristic destination, and they have a history in that particular domain, and they prefer specific spots in Egypt which are very, very popular with Russian tourists. It's full of Russian tourists, like Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh, Dahab, and all the coastal area of the Red Sea. Very delighted to be having with us Dr. Yehya Abdul, Tourism Counselor to the Ministry of Tourism. Good morning, Dr. Abdul.
Good morning, Ms. Dina. How are you?
How are you doing, sir? So, talking about the Russian tourism, how popular is it, and how the Egyptians are very familiar with Russians on some coastal places on the Red Sea. Why, in particular, the Red Sea, they preferred the Russians that much? And exactly what season do they come over? Though that we know that they are there most of the seasons, most of the year.
Well, actually, like Russian travel to Egypt, has been solidified since mid-90s. We've been used to receive 500,000 visitors, and this figure had doubled since that time. Russian tour operators, the research that there is an increase for inbound international travel to Egypt from Russia, valued at 20 to 25%. Whereas, there is an increase flying, to destinations in Asia, 15%, and the Emirates, 5%. So that shows, how, popular is Egyptian destinations in Sharm el-Sheikh, Qader, Sahel Hashish, Makati, Summa Bay, to national tourists, flowing inbound to Egypt from Russia.
Right, and exactly, do they prefer a specific time?
Well, of course, traditionally it used to be winter time, because, you got so severe cold, in Russia at that time of the year. But now currently we have Russian travelers, and vacationers flying to Egypt year round. Especially they prefer, there's direct flights now from Moscow and St. Petersburg to Sharm el-Sheikh and to Hurghada and to the Red Sea, destinations. So it's becoming their prime destination for spending a vacation now.
Right. What are the favorite activities? We all know that they like the water activities and beach activities in particular, but there are other more recent activities that they became involved. They try to explore everything in Egypt, even food. So they're very fond of the Egyptian culture. How do you justify that passion or urge of the Russian people to the Egyptian culture, and why? And exactly what other activities do they like to perform in Egypt?
Well, both, nations, people, Egypt and Russia, we have long, friendly terms, centuries ago. So we have good ties and friendly ties, and educational and scientific and, economic, all kinds of ties. So Egypt for them is a very, popular destination. Russia helped us in the development for the High Dam and other projects as well. So they love, to spend their vacations in the Red Sea destinations. And they've been adding, activities, safaris, like adventure tours, parasailing and paragliding as well. So they enjoy, the aquatics and all the recreational facilities that the Dahab, Nuweiba, and Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada offers to them year-round.
What common cultural background do we share with Russia, usually, especially when it comes to art? They are very popular, of course, with the ballet and dancing, ballet dancing, and we are popular with folkloric dancing. And they love our folkloric dancing so much that they come over to learn it.
That's quite true, remember, the late Dr. Sarat Akasha, Minister of Culture, he promoted Egyptian, like artists and performers to study in the Russian ballet, the Bolshoi, and study the conservatoire in St. Petersburg. So that's why we have, for example, like Dr. Magda Saleh and Milan Kamil, all the leading figures of Egyptian art and culture, like an opera. They were, practicing, like in the opera and theaters in Russia. And now, like we have an excellent, art heritage and performance due to this strong ties with Russia. And they spent some long time, like in Aswan and Nubia. And they loved, like the folklore of Upper Egypt, the cuisine, everything, of our daily life. So we have many things like in common, and both people, like benefited from the cultures of each nation.
Right. How do you justify that passion of a Russian personality to the Egyptian one? I mean, what do they find in our culture so that they become so attracted? And how have the visit of His Excellency, the Head of State President Abdul Fattah Sisi, added to that bond? I mean, on a cultural level, and a soft diplomacy level, a soft power level.
Really, like it was a strategic, visit that President Sisi, paid to Russia to celebrate, May 9, which is the National Memorial Day of Russia, to celebrate 80 years, since the end of World War II. And he celebrated, with world leaders, and there was, a presentation of the Egyptian army, that celebrated and joined the celebrations of the military parades, performed at the Red Square over there. So really, we have strong and warm ties between two nations in technology, in commerce, in art, in sports. And this has been going for a long time, and inshallah, it's solidifying throughout the path of upcoming years.
Right. We're happily receiving Russian tourists and other nationalities. Of course, Egyptians are opening their hearts and friendships to every nationality, but in particular, the inauguration expected, inshallah, for the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum. This is going to be a turning point in the life of history, of tourism and antiquities and exhibiting history and everything you can say to the world. So how is the inauguration and existence of GEM going to change the map of tourism?
Well, really the whole world is, waiting for July 3rd or July 5th for the grand opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum that has been developed over 15 years now. And there's going to be a great celebration that the Ministry of Tourism and Culture and I say the whole, government executives, are planning for this grand event where celebrities, kings and presidents and influencers, figures worldwide will be invited for the opening, and the whole world media as well, travel media worldwide. They're anticipating this grand opening where they're going to visit the 12 galleries that the Grand Egyptian Museum offers and the whole collection of King Tut for the first time. So this is going to, increase, and augment, the number of international inbound travel to Egypt worldwide, inshallah.
Inshallah. So what do you expect some parts of, GEM is already equipped and prepared for and designed in a way that it is comprising a lot of sections, a lot of new, a new concept of the latest state-of-the-art type of museums that does not only exhibit the probably the antiquities, the statues, the monuments, but also modern history, civilization, documentaries, halls for exhibiting documentaries of the history of Egypt, halls for lecturing history of Egypt. Different, totally new, the latest and the most modern ideas of reflecting the Egyptian history. So how is that going to reflect new types of tourism?
Well, really, the museum is not only, like offering and displaying the antiquities and the archaeological heritage of Egypt, but also it's becoming like a cultural center, and the smart management of Dr. Ahmed Ghanem, director of the Grand Egyptian Museum. For example, we now have celebrations, we have events, we have fashion shows, we have museum talks where constantly they're going to be round table talks, like about topics handling civilization and development and patterns and facts, like that influence of the civilization of each nation. So really, this is becoming a cultural center, like combining heritage, civilization, and posterity as well.
Right. On that note, Dr. Yehya Abdul, the tourism of the Counselor for Tourism for the Ministry of Tourism, would like to thank you so much talking to us on the Breakfast Show, and you have a beautiful day. And by this, we come to the end of this edition of the show. Many thanks to all of you, and until we meet you again tomorrow morning, that's a goodbye.